This is the Amp Hour Podcast, recorded May 12th, 2015. Episode 249. Lachrymogenic, Lane, Language.
Welcome to the Amp Hour. I'm Dave Jones from the EEV blog.
And I'm Chris Gamble of Contextual Electronics.
Who's back in the United States of America. Yeah. After you went somewhere. Where'd you go?
I was in Serbia. I was
Serbia, of all places.
Serbia, Macedonia, yep, New York City. So all over the place.
And what were you doing over there?
I was hanging out with coworkers and got a chance to, poke around and see different parts of the country. And
Cool.
Went down to Macedonia, which is the country below it. Yep. And yeah, it was a good time. I mean, it was good people, good food, awesome. Good times.
Is
and
that
I got
saw over there? Because it's surrounded by, Serbia's surrounded by, there's Romania, Hungary, all those, Croatia and all those sort of places. Did you get to them?
No, just the two.
Oh.
Sorry.
Shame to fly all that way and just see bugger all. I've told you this before. You've got to make use of these company junkets.
Yeah. This was more just working. So.
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah, I agree.
It's still a company junket. Okay.
Yeah.
You young whippersnappers. I don't know.
Maybe next
don't
time.
Know how to milk
I'm sure
a
I'll go
junket.
back. I'm sure I'll go
back.
Right.
How long does it take to fly to Serbia, and how do you get there from the US?
I flew from Chicago to, what's the country, or what's the city? It's in Switzerland. The big one, it's Switzerland.
Hang on, so you've got to fly from
Cleveland to Chicago.
Cleveland to Chicago, then Chicago to Switzerland.
Switzerland, whatever the big city is there. It's an L, whatever. And then Switzerland to Serbia.
Oh, okay, right.
Yeah.
So it's 4 hops.
3 hops, 4 cities.
Oh, sorry. Yes.
Yeah.
3 hops.
Yeah, it's not too bad. I mean, I don't know.
That's all right.
It was like I thought it was going to be worse than it was, but
right.
Yeah. Cleveland's not a major major departure point for the world, so
right, yeah.
Gotta go other places first. It's no Sydney.
Okay, I thought you would have flown out of JFK or something like that, because it's closer technically.
I flew back to there.
Okay, right.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. On the way back, I went to New York City for the TechCrunch hackathon.
Cool.
That was fun. Yeah.
Excellent.
So we were there.
Who'd you catch up with there?
Well, I was with the Hackaday crew, so that was fun. And then got to meet some new people. Met Kenji Larson. So Kenji's really big on the Hackaday project site, but also he brought so they did a video with him, but I got to hang out with him all night, and he helped me learn how to 3D print and stuff like that, because I'd never done that before. And but if you go watch the video of the stuff he brought with him, it was amazing. The suitcase of wonders kind of thing. It was just, it was like a standard size suitcase, and it just had tons and tons and tons of stuff in there, including a 3D printer. So
nice.
And yeah, I mean, we talked about, kind of the lack of viability of hardware at hackathons, right? That's kind of the tough thing, and it is tough, to get something useful out there and trying to make something interesting. But
that's what some people have asked, when the electronics show here is in Melbourne, am I going to have a stand in Melbourne? Well, no, it's just too much work, to transport stuff and things like that. So definitely not.
Yeah. Is that the electronics, the one you usually do?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so, that is a lot of
effort.
stuff to drag around. I mean, it's not like it's just bringing a monitor or a projector or something like that. It's you got to bring stuff,
Yeah, I know. 3D printers, monitors, computers, and
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Nah,
but
it's not.
It is interesting. I think that. So if people are, what I was really thinking about at the event, it was all night kind of thing. It was a 24-hour type of thing. And all I could really think is like, I know I'm not that old, but like I felt old because by
Right.
I don't pull all nighters anymore. And
Yep.
by the end, I was just like trashed. I was just like, oh, I just can't think anymore.
You couldn't keep up
I
with
didn't
the
even
younger whippersnappers.
yeah, exactly. And well, that's what I was really thinking is like, man, this would have been great when I was like, instead of like,
Right.
early 30s, like early 20s. That's what it's
Yep,
for. Is
yeah.
like people chugging Red Bull all night.
Right.
Maybe less at that point, but who cares, right? You're kind of just there to.
Right, you have more fun, yeah.
When you can learn a lot too. That's what's interesting. You can meet a lot
True.
of people there and learn from other people and stuff like that. So it was a good time. I mean, I was surprised. I was surprised that it was a good time. And I would probably do it again, like a hackathon with maybe better hours. But it is
Right.
interesting if people. I think that there's a real advantage. So we were talking about like the rules of that specific one. It's like you can't come in with any code that you've written before, but they didn't. They
right.
didn't say anything about any hardware you've built before or anything like that. So you
Right.
could bring in, pre-assembled modules that you have at your house and kind of hook things together, and you
Got
can
it.
make something interesting. I think it's just
Yep.
a matter of planning and stuff like that.
Got it.
So,
So
yeah.
you wouldn't have to build your Arduino from scratch. You could bring your Arduino and then
Yeah,
hack it there and wire it up and
yeah, or even
cut
like sensor
code and all that sort
boards
of
and
stuff.
stuff like
Right.
that.
Yep.
You could bring some perf board and stuff like that and just solder it together there, and based on what you need. Like again, like Kenji's suitcase was crazy, but maybe you don't even need that much stuff. It's kind
Right.
of just bring in what you already work with. I know Jeremy Blum had done that before, and
Yep.
he brought stuff as well to like hackathons, and you'll stand out, right? Because it's harder to
Yeah,
do.
yeah, of
so.
course. So was this a true Portal Lab?
No, but I did
Right.
talk to him about this because, he had a lot of the necessary stuff, DMM stuff like that.
Yeah,
But his was more like it was just like packed to the brim. If it wouldn't have gone through security because everything would have gotten trashed from just getting bounced around. It didn't have any cushioning, but we did talk about it a little bit.
Got it.
So
What? So did he drive there? Did he?
yeah, he was
Right,
he was in the
okay.
area. So
That makes it easy. Easy.
yeah.
Yep.
I don't know how you would. I think anything, if it was that packed, if you had that much stuff, you'd want to ship it anyways. If you did, so not quite a Portal Lab, but
Yep.
kind of edging towards that. Thinking about having a 3D printer with your stuff as well is kind of interesting as well, and so maybe that's another consideration for a 3D printer or something. I don't know.
And we've talked about this, mentioned this before, I'm sure, is that, often when you go overseas, on work trips and stuff like that, like you don't bother taking your tools, you just buy them over there. You just go to the local Fry's and, buy your soldering iron and take it back to the hotel, and you buy your cutters and your multimeter and everything else. You just don't bother taking it.
Yeah, might be a little harder, and I'm not sure about the Serbia, but maybe.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah. Yeah, if you know people in the area too, you
if
can
I'm
borrow.
flying from here to Silicon Valley, like I'm not going to be taking tools, I'm just going to.
Oh yeah, right.
Here's the company credit card, just let's
Right.
catch a cab
Yeah.
to Fry's and just buy everything we need and
Yeah,
head on back to the hotel and start hacking.
right. I think that's much more realistic. One of the things they had there at that hackathon, I've seen other stuff about, like more and more I see this. They had a bunch of those ESP8266 boards, or well, the chipset. But have you looked at that at all?
What's the 8266?
It's like a little 32-pin QFN like Wi-Fi
right,
all-inclusive module.
Got it.
Have you seen these things? I mean, like, have you?
I have. They're everywhere.
Yeah, I'm really intrigued by them. I haven't tried one yet. I just ordered some today actually to try them. But just seeing more projects come out with them and stuff like that, and thinking about like a lot of the promise of IoT and stuff like that. I was talking to some people over the past couple weeks about this and stuff as well, but it's probably not going to be like an Ant or 6W low pan or whatever that is. Like
Right.
all of these other competing wireless standards and stuff like that. They'll be there and they'll be used for certain applications, but it's probably going to be Wi-Fi. I mean, like, as much as that may or may not work, and it'll be kind of a cluster.
Right.
But in terms of accessibility and, like in terms of the maximum things that people, this is my opinion, of course, I could be totally wrong, but I think that this is really interesting because of that, because, it's relatively low power, it's Wi-Fi, it's dead simple,
Well,
it's
not
super
relatively
cheap.
low power.
What do you mean?
Is it? It's not relatively low power.
Are
I
you
would
saying
say
it's
it's
higher power
relatively
or it
high
is low?
power. I would say it's
What
relatively
Wi-Fi in
high
general
power.
is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's the relative part. Yeah, if you're comparing it to Bluetooth Low Energy, then it's high power, but relative to other Wi-Fi devices that are always on,
Oh, right. Okay.
it's low power. Yeah, and that's really just because it's low bandwidth, and but I don't think that's really. I think the real thing is the cheapness. That's what's interesting to
Right.
me.
Yeah. Of course.
And the simplicity of it as well. But I don't know. I just think it's I think it's a really intriguing device, especially because everyone I've asked about it, I've looked online a little bit, but like, do they know where it's made? I mean, like, it's like this it feels like this anomaly that came out of China, and it's just like
Right.
it wasn't certified at first and that kind of thing. But it's not like they. It just seems like an anomaly to me. I know that this has been around for a while too, and it's not like and everybody listening is like, yeah, of course, Chris, it's been around. Like it's
Yeah. Because we haven't been following the game. If you've been following the game, know all about it.
Yeah.
Because
So-
if people don't know,
yeah.
these modules are $7 retail at Adafruit. I mean,
Yeah.
and they're basically just a serial in and Wi-Fi out. That's basically it, isn't it?
Right. Yep. Exactly.
Or is it I/O? Is it serial or is it just bit banged I/O? Or is it anything you feed into
Well,
it?
there's a couple that it has I2C, it has Spy on it, it has Serial.
Oh, okay.
But
Right.
basically, yeah, you have to throw it like one command at a time, and like
Okay.
actually they get it set up like that.
Right.
So.
And how much power does it take? Have we got data on that?
I have no idea.
Come on.
Sorry.
This is an electronics show. We need to be Johnny on the spot with this stuff.
Sure.
Come on. I'm Googling it right now to make us look like we know everything.
Okay.
Oh, dear. This is
Anyways,
pathetic.
I like I said, I don't know much about it, but I'm just very intrigued by it. So I'm gonna be trying it out personally, just to see.
Yep. That's cool.
Yeah. And I mean other things that I saw some projects today, like there was an MQTT. We had talked about that in the past, where that's like a protocol that kind of is like a broadcast protocol for small things. Just seeing all these projects out there, it's just, I don't know, it just piques the interest. So,
Right.
what are you working on?
Got it. Hang on.
Okay.
200 to 300 milliamps peak power. That's peak. And
Yeah, so
standby
that's like-
power is less than 1 milliwatt. So, it goes into deep sleep and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Okay, that's what I'd expect. Yeah, it's like a big pulse of power.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. That's the disadvantage. What that averages out to, I guess it depends on what data you send in and stuff like that, maybe. But yeah, anyway, it can be high. So if you're trying to attempt to power this thing from a couple of coin cells, you're you're going to be out of luck. You're just not going to have the peak power available to do it.
Yeah, but I don't even think about this for that kind of. I think about this for like actual like even just wall wart connected type. Like the same things
Oh
that
yeah,
like.
but even if you're powering it from AA or AAA batteries, that's a fair chunk of pulse power. So
Well, it's more of an energy calculation than power, right?
oh well, it is, yeah. But I'm just saying, Anyway,
yes, of course, yeah, and that's exactly what you said about the Wi-Fi as well. I mean, that's the downside to Wi-Fi in the first place.
and then of course you smooth it out with your some heavy bypass in it. Your peak energy comes from that instead of through the ESR in your batteries, for example.
right.
Yeah,
right.
it's all all averages out in the end. Anyway, what have I been up to?
Yeah. What have you been up to?
No, I just released another video. Shock, horror, as I do.
Yeah.
Solar roadways again. It's back.
Yeah.
Yeah, growing. But see, this is the thing that pisses me off, right? So, like, this is the Solar Road one, right? The one in Amsterdam, right?
Okay.
So this Solar Road, which I don't mind this mob, right? Because they're not the Bruchels. The Bruchels are just batshit crazy, right? Whereas this this one over here is actually quite professional. They've done it quite professional, as I've said before. But it's still not viable, but that's beside the point, right? They're at least doing some reasonable engineering behind it. But they come out with this press release, right? They installed that 70-metre prototype solar cycleway, right? It isn't a roadway, it's a cycleway. And It's been installed for 6 months now. So they finally released the data after 6 months. And great. So we have some decent data to work from. Anyway, they released this press release saying, it gave greater output than we expected. Woohoo, fantastic. It's better than what we thought. And, of course, everyone picked up on it. Popular Mechanics, Engadget, all the big blogs, right? And this has just come out, so all the blogs are continuing to pick it up, right? Pick up this stupid press release from them. And, of course, the headlines are now glowing, right? Solar roadways are viable because, they've got a bright future, pun intended, and all that sort of crap, because they made the simple statement that the output is greater than what they expected, right? So I thought, I'll verify that, right? So I went and actually got the data, and it's basically not. It's basically exactly what they expected. The output. So it's like, it might have been like 1% more than they expected, or 5%, or even 10% more, right? But I actually calculated it based on the available data. Yeah, it's about what they expected. So, it's media, right, running with these headlines. They'll just, because people want to believe in this thing, right? That's the thing. They want to believe. So they'll take any scrap of headline available that, it exceeds expectations, so therefore it's viable. And it's not. It doesn't change the game at all. And I went through what I did, this is the interesting part, is that right somewhere near Amsterdam, there, I forget the town, starts with K, I think, can't even pronounce it. And what I got right, that's where they installed this 70-metre solar roadway. So I actually went to pvoutput.org, where people like me who have home solar systems, right, they feed their data into this website. So I went and found 3 home solar installations within a couple of kilometres of where this thing is installed, and I actually got their data out. Okay, so I actually
getting like similar.
So I actually,
light
so
output.
nobody can complain that I'm using the data on my rooftop here in Sydney, and the solar installation is different, blah blah blah. Right? I actually went and got data from 3 different solar installations within a couple of kilometres of this solar roadway, and compared the data, and solar roadways, or this solar pathway, produces, at best, highlight that, at best, half of the power of a rooftop solar system per square metre. Like,
why? Because of material stuff?
Well, it's obvious, right? That's exactly what you'd expect, because it's not angled,
it's farther away
flat,
from the sun.
Right? It's flat. Right? So you lose like 20-30% just from it being flat instead of angled, right? And then
Really?
you whack, and then you whack the heavy glass.
Dave, as a background here, I know I don't know
right.
much about solar, so.
Yeah, but come on, engineering common sense, right? If the solar panel is perpendicular to the sun, it's going to have
incident light
perfect,
and all
right? It's
that
going to have
crap,
maximum
right?
output. You tilt it, make it flat, unless the sun's directly overhead, right?
Right.
Which in Amsterdam it's not.
Because of the
right?
because of the latitude.
Yeah. So, right. So then you've got to tilt the thing, right? So having it flat, you lose you lose a couple of tens of percent there, and then you put the thick, heavy glass on the thing. There's going to be loss in that, right? And then the fact that the being in such a thing, there's no airflow under the back of it like you get on rooftops, so it's going to heat it up more, so they're going to be less efficient. And then
I did learn that from Martin, that if they actually like colder weather more than hot, right? Because
colder is better. Yep.
Yeah.
That's why
Go
some
Cleveland.
people actually, right. That's why some people in hot environments actually run sprinklers on their solar panels. I don't know if they
Really?
call them sprinklers in the US.
Yeah,
but
we
they
do,
actually
yeah.
drip feed water over them to actually cool down the solar panels. Makes them more efficient. So you can use part of the output of the solar panels to power a pump to pump water up to the top, and then you can actually get decent payback on that by actually
Really?
cooling down the panels. Yeah.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
In certain environments, I'm sure it wouldn't apply to Cleveland, but
Yeah. No, Martin
Yeah.
said that because actually two of the things that work better for us is that direct sunlight always necessary better. Like sometimes it's about like cloudy days can do just as good as sunny
Oh
days.
yeah, no, definitely.
And then the
Yep.
cooler weather also helps because of the efficiencies.
Yep.
I guess
absolutely.
Martin's the one who I learned Martin Lorton's who I learned everything
Right.
from because he's got stuff for that.
Yeah, he's really into solar power
Yeah.
stuff. Anyway, so they lose efficiency there, and the fact that it gets scratched up and grime and all sorts of crap on the thing. It's not surprising it only gives half the power output. And of course, unfortunately, the solar roadways, the true believers, they're going to take this as a positive, right? And go, but it's half as good. That's good enough. Imagine if you paved all of the roads and all the pathways on the planet.
Right.
Oh,
Well, like cheap Wi-Fi chips, it'd be great if it was cheap,
right.
but it's not.
It's just. But the fact remains, these things are massively more expensive than rooftop solar, right? And the amount of energy which goes into producing all the concrete base for them, and everything, and the glass and everything else, to actually make these things viable for half the amount of energy is just stupid. It's just fundamentally not a viable, system to use. It's just ridiculous. And anyway, there's a very cool video which we should link in South Korea. The South Koreans have done this right. There's like a drone footage, right, of this drone with a camera flying over this new motorway in South Korea, where they've installed a cycleway, like a bicycle way, in the center of the freeway, and then covered that bicycle way with solar panels, as in on top of, right? So it's above.
Yeah.
It's not in the cycleway. It's above,
That's
and
a
they're
good
angled
idea, yeah.
properly, and
Yeah.
it's brilliant. And it looks brilliant, and
And it keeps
it's-
rain off the head, right? I mean, that's another.
and it keeps rain off the head. It shades them, it shades the cyclists.
Oh, that's
and
really
everything.
smart, actually.
Yeah, it's so clever. So that's how you do solar roadways at much less cost, much more reliability, much longer lifetime, much higher output, at least
Right.
double. So anyway, the data is in, and yep, solar roadways is still a complete and utter waste of time.
Well, no, I like that idea though. I mean, I think that's the South Korea stuff. That's a cool
Oh
idea.
yeah, no, it's great. And a lot of people are doing that. Like, people say, oh, why don't you do car parks with these solar
Yeah,
road
I've seen that before.
tiles,
Yep.
right? Stupid. Why? Like, there's people out there putting roofs on their car parks,
Right.
outdoor
Right, because you
car
want
parks.
the shade anyways.
You
and
want the
why not?
shade, and it can protect your car from the sun and,
Yeah.
hail and rain and everything else. So, it's just fail. Continues to be a fail, and yet people will continue to believe in it, and this will add fuel to the fire, I'm sure, this press release. And but as I said, the thing that pissed me off was that all the major blogs out there, right, they all just run with it, and they just take any scrap of data and just blow it out of proportion. Oh, look how wonderful it is because it exceeded expectations. When you
Yeah.
exceed expectations by a couple of % on a system that's inherently unviable does not make it viable.
Right.
Ticks me off. Sorry.
Yeah.
Next.
Yep. No, that's good. Well, I think a lot of that solar stuff. I think so. There's other interesting stuff that's coming out with solar specifically. The Tesla, the thing that you mentioned with I forget
The
what they're
Tesla
calling it.
Powerwall, which I want. If anyone
Power
knows
wall, that's
who
it.
I have to sleep with at Tesla to get one of those things here in Australia, please let me know.
I actually am. I will be at the Tesla factory on Thursday. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that publicly, but I just did.
Is this a regular tour or is this a super special tour?
No, it's a regular tour. It's
Right.
yeah.
Are you going to meet up with our good mate Vincent there?
I didn't plan to, but maybe I'll give him a shout.
You should. You should.
Yeah. This is just like the commercial tour, so it's I have some friends that
right.
have
Yeah.
a Tesla, so
Right.
They
Yeah, because
offered-
you're allowed to bring one friend, aren't you, or something?
two
Two friends. Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Yep.
I'm very blessed to have friends that offered. So I'm very excited about it. I don't know what to expect, and I'm not allowed to talk about once I see it. I know that.
Oh, really? You aren't allowed to talk about it once you see it.
I think I have to sign an NDA, which I will.
Really? Oh, I was going to say, well, why don't you take a camera? Like,
I'll do it in a heartbeat. I don't give a crap, And I mean, it's like honestly, for the most part, it's going to probably be, like, oh, look, robots. Like,
yeah, well, it'd be
great,
crap
awesome.
footage compared to that documentary we've seen, right? And with Link,
Right.
like, they've got, like, that just highlights it perfectly,
Yeah.
So,
Right.
yeah.
But yeah, I love these kind of like tours like that too. So, but that's not what we're talking. We're talking about the output from, and I think so. Powerwall actually comes from the batteries that are being recycled, right? Is that the idea?
I know. I didn't know they were recycled.
I thought they
haven't
were
read a
recycling.
huge. No, I've thought they were just using more of the plant capacity because that factory is going to come online in the next,
Right. The
few years,
the
right?
Gigafactory.
And they have to, the Gigafactory, and they have to use all these batteries, right? And another way to use them is
That's
another
true.
market
Yeah.
segment is in
Create
these
your own.
Powerwalls.
Create your own
Yeah.
economies of scale. Yeah.
So, and the thing's not that big either. It's sort of, they call it the power wall because it like mounts on the side of your wall. It's like a
I didn't know that.
one. I think it's like a 1 meter square by 1 meter square module or something. It's not that huge, and it can power your house and store your energy from your
And it's
panels.
was it 3.5K?
Something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, which will translate to about $7,000 if it ever gets to Australia.
Oh, I see. Well, maybe you
even
can.
10 grand. It'll probably be 10 grand in Australia. You watch.
But you'll do it anyways, though.
No, not at 10 grand. I would buy one today if it was like 5 grand. I would go out and buy one definitely.
So what is the I mean, I can understand the like being off grid type of things, but like, is there other reasons or no?
Well, for me, if you've watched you probably haven't, but I've got a update video on my solar installation, right, of the payback period and all that sort of stuff.
I did watch that one. I just
Okay,
saw some
well,
of that. Yeah, you were going through numbers and stuff.
Yeah. Well, the numbers is that because here in Sydney I get such a shitty feed-in tariff, right? I'm getting 6 cents per kilowatt hour if I don't use the energy. So during the day, if
I
I'm
see.
not home and I'm not using that energy, I'm only getting 6 cents per kilowatt hour. Whereas if I had a battery pack, right, any sort of battery pack, whether a Tesla Powerwall or some other system, then I could store that energy, excess energy I'm not using during the day, and then reuse it at night when I'm paying 25 cents per kilowatt hour. Right? So I'm effectively getting 25 cents per kilowatt hour for all of my energy.
25 cents.
So,
Holy crap! You have expensive power there.
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely. So
Yeah,
so that's the advantage.
yeah.
I'm pissing, but still, even with the pissy feed-in tariff I get here in Australia, it's still a 5-year payback for me on my solar installation.
And that's without like all the other like subsidies that they were doing for a long time, right?
Yep. That's
Yeah.
no, because it was subsidised a bit. So the cost
Oh, it
of
was?
my
Okay.
installation was government subsidised a bit,
Yeah.
I think. But so I missed the boat because if I had installed it a few years before, I would have got 60 cents, 10 times more feed-in tariff. I would have got 60 cents per kilowatt hour feed-in tariff.
Huh.
That's like, a license to print money.
Yeah. Well, I
It's
suppose.
crazy. I would have installed a $30,000 system, cover my entire roof and backyard and everything with
Yeah,
solar
right,
panels
right.
if I was getting 60
Wearing
cents per
solar
kilowatt
clothes.
hour. yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So I just went over to the site and it says there's a comes in 10 kilowatt hour weekly cycle and 7 kilowatt hour daily cycle models.
Right.
So
Yep.
interesting.
Yeah, because
Wow.
7 kilowatt hours is about what the average small house would use in a
Right.
day, I think. So
And it says
Something like that.
$3,000 for the 7 kilowatt hour and the 3,500 for the 10 kilowatt hour.
Yep.
So
Yep. I would only need like the $3,000 one because,
yeah.
because we do use 1/3 of our energy during the day while the sun's out.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I mean, I think that's in it. Like, it's not like the chargers and the like the inverters and stuff like that. That's been around for a long time. It's just been the battery packs, right? That's kind of the big. Obviously, that's the big thing here.
No, there is nothing new here at all. Tesla haven't really invented anything.
No.
Here,
I mean, like,
right?
but like being hands off. That's what I really meant.
Oh yeah.
Like,
Well, no. There's still nothing really new here. And what I compare it to, this Tesla Powerwall is like the Apple iPhone of phones. You know,
Okay.
it's just the glitzy solution that just works. That sort of
okay.
as opposed to using some old school hacky Android phone where you got to build it all yourself and compile
right.
your own operating system or something. Like. Yeah, it's like I can go out right now and buy the equivalent to a Tesla Powerwall, right? There are companies that will provide me, but they're all sort of like custom solutions. They'll use whatever battery pack technology they have available, and they'll use their own custom, they'll use an off-the-shelf inverter from here, and they'll slap it all together in some custom case, and, it's sort of all sort of
so it's
do
more
it
like
yourself at the moment.
it's like building your own PC versus buying like
building your own PC versus buying a sleek Apple Mac.
Yeah, like a Mac or something. Yeah.
That's the basic difference.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yep. Yeah, but still, it needs something. The industry needs this to ignite people's imagination. Like, nobody at the moment wants to go out and install their own battery solution, right? Because it's not sexy. It's like,
they were doing, it's a lot of like lead acid, like deep charge cycle type stuff, right?
Yep. It's those deep cycle batteries, and the systems look ugly, and they have to be custom designed
it's in
for
the
your
basement
installation.
always, and
it's in the base. It's like, no, this Tesla Powerwall is sexy. You sit it on the wall, and there it is. It just does its magic thing, and it's Tesla, and it's got a, and an aura of, the sort of the cult of Tesla aura around it, just like the cult of Mac, right, or the cult of Apple.
Yeah.
Right. It's sexy, and the market needs that. Definitely.
Speaking
and of course, it's supposed to just work as well. And
that's nice as well.
Things
yeah.
like that.
Like you don't even need. You just need an installer, and you don't need any maintenance or anything. Yeah, and you can look at it on your phone, and all that crap.
See, but here's the thing that Tesla, I don't believe it can do it, and why it doesn't. It was either a conscious decision on their part or a bad oversight. That the Tesla car, right? Why it can't be used as the storage medium to feed energy back into your house, right?
Oh.
Because the electric DeLorean, right? You can buy an electric DeLorean. It can do this,
Really?
right?
Yeah.
It can work just like a Tesla Powerwall. It can store your energy. You can use your car as the battery pack in your car as the storage medium for your home solar installation.
Right. Well, I think that's interesting, but I think that's probably not all that useful because most people have the cars out and about during the day.
They use the car, exactly.
Yeah,
But so I can probably understand. Well, it's likely a conscious decision that they decide not to include the ability to export the energy from the Tesla battery. So
yeah. No, because other people have talked about that too. Is like, no, I think it's as a grid storage kind of thing. Like if everybody was plugged in at work and you could, use that as a buffer.
Then you could steal the energy from work and take it home and power your house. Right?
Right, that, yeah.
Right.
Man, your power must be really expensive. Like that's kind of a shocking difference. I mean, I know that we have cheap because of like natural gas and coal and crap like that here.
We've got a whole shitload of coal. We export more coal than any other country, I think. We're one of the world leading coal exporters.
Oh,
we've got coal for the next 500 years.
So why is your power so expensive?
It's Australia. We pay I don't know, everything's, just...
Because ours is like 8 or 9 cents a kilowatt hour, I think.
Right, yep. No, we just, it's politics, it's taxes, it's all sorts of, it's...
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
I wouldn't even try and explain it.
Well, I think that's, if that drives people to get more solar installed, that's a good thing.
Yeah, definitely.
So you were mentioning...
I mean, if you're paying 8 or 9 cents per kilowatt hour for your horrible fossil coal energy, then what's the unless you're an environmentalist and you care about the planet, what's the point of getting
there's no
solar
economic pain,
installation?
which is what drives. That's going to drive the actual
That's what
adoption.
drives it here in Australia. That's why, greater than 13% of homes in Australia have solar roof
13.
tops.
Wow.
Right? At least. Last I looked, and that was data from a couple of years ago. It might be like 15% or something now.
Wow.
It went crazy. It helped when they gave that crazy feed-in tariff of 60 cents, right? Because it was a license to print money.
Yeah.
So people just went ballistic, and they had to shut down the program because it was way too popular. But now it's even still popular. Now that that system's gone, and here in New South Wales, you're only getting 6 cents per kilowatt hour. It's still, you can still get a payback in 5 years, as I've shown in my video. So why not?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you? These things last for about 20 years. The panels do, and the inverters maybe for 10. Why not? Yeah. It makes economic sense. And that's the reason people are doing it. People aren't really doing it to save the planet. That helps. People, a lot of people like being green and all that sort of stuff, but
right. But there's limits to wallets,
right? They're doing it to save money.
Yeah, right.
Because they have to, because they're expensive. Here in Sydney, all these big castles, they've built all these big castles with their big, aircon systems running 24/7, and their electricity bills are like, I know people that are getting charged $1,500 a quarter.
Oh, wow.
Right? $1,500 a quarter.
Yeah,
for
that's a lot.
Electricity. In comparison, mine's about $300.
Without solar, you're saying?
That's without solar.
Yeah, that's about what mine
400.
is.
Yeah.
But I have a tiny. I think we have a similar size house. We're not huge houses, so that is a big difference, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
No, people with these modern huge houses cost a fortune to heat and cool.
I call them tumor houses because they have always great rooms, and so as you're driving by, it looks like the ceiling kind of puffs out the roof and looks like a tumor.
Got it. Oh goodness.
So you had mentioned you were comparing Tesla to Apple and that kind of thing,
Yep.
and
it's sexy. Yeah,
it's sexy,
Same
right?
Sexy.
And I was talking to a coworker who got the Apple Watch, and I don't want to validate him in case he listens, but his assertion was that the Apple Watch has already obviated, as in made obsolete all other wearable technologies.
I thought the Apple Watch was pretty shit.
I don't know. I've yet to see it in person, but it's an interesting concept. I think there's a lot of focus on it because obviously it's Apple and there's a lot of money around it.
That's the reason there's focus on it. It's no better than any other wearable watch. It's got the same shit battery life and everything else, right? It's got apps, whoop-de-doo.
No, I think the thing that's interesting about it though is, and it's kind of the same thing as the iPhone, right? And so we've talked in the past about Bunny talking about the sensors that are available on the iPhone, and that drove a lot of innovations because of the cost dropping and that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. And there's new sensors types on the watch. And I think that would be kind of the. It's got a heart rate sensor. It's not like any phones have heart rate sensors on them.
Who the hell needs to monitor their heart rate? What a gimmick!
Yeah, but you could have said the same thing about accelerometers, right? When smartphones came out, why? When you think about a cell phone pre-smartphone era or pre-iPhone, even if you want to say that.
Yeah, but I'm not going to compare the two.
But I think that's the same level. That's what I mean.
But no, one is very specific to a type of biofeedback on your body, and the other is a general purpose addition to the user interface. You can tilt the thing, and that can have user interface advantages, auto-rotating images, blah, 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 blah. Right?
Yeah, but no, what I'm saying is that accelerometers are used in a lot of ways that weren't initially intended, just because they're now cheap and available and stuff like that. People use them for my friend uses it for my friend works on Parkinson's research, and he I think he just has them balance an iPad. He just uses off the shelf hardware. He has them balanced with an iPad. And he measures balance and stuff like that.
Yeah, you're right.
And that that.
Yeah, no, of course.
You never would have thought that accelerometers used to be used for airplanes.
So you're saying the same thing with this heartbeat thing.
Yeah, exactly, right? Exactly.
You can monitor your heartbeat's raising, so it'll give you a, here's a cat video to cheer you up.
Right. Yeah, that kind of stuff. Yeah, all the inference is around sensors, right? It's not the direct measurement, I know. The direct acceleration of something isn't what's interesting. It's what you imply
it's what you
from
do
that.
with it, right?
Yeah, exactly. So that's why I was kind of took a pause when my coworker said that. I'm not sure what all the sensors are on there, but it is interesting. I mean, like, again, volume is that plays a big part, right? So I'm probably not going to get
I think there'll be a lot
it.
of tossed out iWatches in a couple of years.
I said a similar thing, right? I said what I actually said to him was, well, my Google Glass is sitting in my bedside nightstand.
Uh-huh.
We'll see how many iWatches are sitting in bedside nightstands in a couple months, right? That's ultimately that's
Yeah,
what.
when people realise
thing
that they
is.
have to charge another freaking gadget every day.
Yeah,
What a
right.
pain in the ass.
But people said that about iPhones too. So again,
Yeah, but the phone is the central thing that runs people's lives these days. They take it everywhere, but they don't. Okay, so they need one device. We've got it. It's the smartphone. Do they need another device that they have to remember to charge?
I don't know. That's what
No,
and that's
the
what I'm
answer is
wondering
no.
about. But then again, okay, so then the argument there is, do you need any of the other wearable things that are out there, right? So wearables are an
No.
interesting.
They're always going to be a niche thing.
Maybe
Everyone's not going to be wearing around freaking necklaces and wearable bloody
No, did you see
eyewear
that?
and watches.
Did you see
and,
that
you know,
Intel
that's
Curie? Is it called? Did we talk about that when it came out?
Yep.
We
Yep.
did, okay.
It's a. Oh, sorry. No, I thought you were talking about the new Samsung one. No.
Oh no. Here, I'll send you a link real quick. It's basically Intel's play into wearables and stuff like that. And I mean, like, in terms of what's in there, it's pretty beefy. It's got Bluetooth Low
right,
energy
yep,
type
yep.
stuff. But I mean,
Yep.
like, again, it's about available technology and what you can do with it. And I think that
Yeah.
I don't know, like,
But I can't help but get away from the fact that wearables and portable technology, smartwatches and phones and everything else, it all comes down to the annoyance of charging the things.
yeah.
We
but I've
we use we put up with our phones with our 1 day charge on our phones because they're so useful, right? We need it to survive in our modern, we don't need it to survive, but that's how our modern world
That's how it
operates,
feels,
right?
yeah,
Everyone's
yeah.
got a smartphone, right?
Yeah.
It's the device you must have. Everything else I regard as, optional. It's just going to piss people off if they have to charge these things. I think that's going to ultimately limit the success of wearables and smartwatches.
Yeah, I mean, you could very well be right. I mean, I don't know. I think if people start wearing watches just because of this, like just to have that kind of thing, then maybe it's different. But maybe
Yeah,
you'll
but
just end up
as I
with a
said,
lot of.
they'll wear them for 3 months and then go, "Oh, this is too annoying. I'll just leave it off for a day because I forgot to charge it." And then they get used to not wearing it, and then it goes into the bedroom drawer or the bedside drawer, right? And bingo. That's my prediction for bloody wearables.
Okay.
I'm not against them. I just think that they're not going to be as successful as people make out. They might be initially successful because I want to buy an Apple Watch because it's people are gadget freaks, right? People love their gadgets, right? So they'll
yes,
buy it,
yeah,
right? So
yeah,
they'll be
yeah.
initially successful, but will they be, will everyone be wearing it in a couple of years' time like they are carrying smartphones? No, I don't think so. I suspect not.
Welcome to the Amp Hour Fashion Blog with Dave Jones.
Yeah.
This year's accessory is not the smartwatch. It's the smart soldering iron holster belt. Are you at a bind in a foreign country and you've just bought a soldering iron from the Fry's down the street? Strap it in with your holster belt.
And if you call within the next 24 hours, you'll get a free Arduino.
Right. Extension cable not included. Oh, man.
In 12 easy payments.
Yeah.
Oh, dear. Could we get on to something industry relevant? Microchip. Hey, more consolidation. Microchip are buying Micro.
Yeah. I always just see Microl or Microl. I always just see them as like linear regulators. I didn't really ever use them for
I
anything
know.
else.
They make nice little linear. They're one of my go-to manufacturers for
Yeah.
linear regs and things,
Yeah.
So, I'm not sure because I can't read this stupid Wall Street article because you got to log in. That pisses me
No.
off. But it's what...
Here's a tip from Chris Gamble in case you want to get around in case you need to get a Wall Street Journal paywall. Most people just go somewhere else. Copy the article title, put it into Google, look at the first result on Google News, and they let Google through. So just click through from Google, and you can read the whole article. Because they want Google to read the whole article, but they don't want us to read the whole article.
I'm trying it now. Oh, you're right. That works.
Yeah.
Oh,
It works for everyone. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
There you
Good
go.
old Googlebot saves the day. So
Awesome.
yeah.
14
Anyways,
bucks.
this article's crap. It's
Yeah.
just the press release.
Right.
But
Yeah.
yeah. Should have just posted
Anyway,
that.
there looks like they have they signed it? Yes, has signed a deal. Yes,
Yeah.
cash in a cash and stock deal valued at $839 million.
Yeah, it didn't seem like much. But again, I really don't know what else McGraw was buying or
No,
selling.
I mean that's
so.
more consolidation in the semiconductor industry as predicted. Everyone has predicted this, and that's where it's going. And it's like every month we could probably do a who's
eventually
buying
they-
who this week.
Yeah, eventually they'll run out of companies to buy. You know,
Right.
Eventually, it'll be interesting.
It'd be
if
interesting
they
to
spin
know
them out.
how many there are out there. It's probably more than you think. You know, there's.
Well, I
Like,
see a lot of them,
if
Dave.
You
to
go
be
to
honest.
DigiKey and like list of manufacturers, list
Parts
of semiconductor
IO. Yeah,
manufacturers.
Parts IO.
Right,
Yep.
Parts IO.
Yeah.
Plug in your,
Yeah.
plug in your.
No, but there
overlord.
are a lot. There are a lot, and
Yeah,
there's a
yeah,
lot. Like
yeah.
especially the small, super. Like if you get into like the RF stuff, like there's like the high frequency.
there's
Like you'll
heaps of
see
players.
stuff that you never have seen before.
Yep.
But
Yep.
and same with there's a lot of passive manufacturers, stuff like that, things that aren't as difficult to actually make.
One thing is, we don't see. One thing I just realised this: we don't seem to be seeing any acquisitions of these, no-name Chinese semiconductor companies.
That is institutional.
Right.
You cannot buy Chinese
Can't
companies
buy.
unless you're Chinese.
You can't buy Chinese companies unless you're
Right.
Chinese. Okay.
Right.
Well,
Yeah, you
that's
have
it.
to have, even if you
Right.
own a company, you actually have to have, this is how I understand it. I very, people can
Right.
correct me, but as I understand it, you have to have a Chinese national citizen actually own the company. You cannot own, if
Right.
you are,
Oh,
you Australian
right.
or me American cannot go
Right.
and buy a company in China. But there are,
they can come in here and they buy every one of our companies.
yeah,
We're so stupid. We are so stupid.
there, money. There is something called a WOFI, which is called a wholly owned foreign entity. I only know that because I remember when I was
Right.
at Keithley, they were in the process of doing that. Then they got bought out,
Okay.
and they said WOFI a lot, and I kept thinking of
Right.
Chewbacca for some reason. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's Wookiee versus Woofy. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So that's why. But a lot of them too, like they're small. I mean, like there's just fewer and fewer companies here. How about this one? Like ST, they just announced the top thing on the subreddit. They just announced they're not even gonna. So ST is gonna be around, right? They make a lot of parts,
Yep.
STM32
Of course they
stuff
do.
like that. But they're not gonna be making stuff anymore. They're going straight.
What?
They're going fabless.
Oh.
Yeah.
Who are
Right.
they going to sell their fabs to?
I don't know.
Because I think most of their fabs are in Europe, aren't they? ST's fabs are. European
yeah,
mostly?
I think they might have one over here, but
Right.
I think most of it's like the thing about they're like Swiss and
Something like that. Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, it's
Sorry
it's,
for all you European people that we don't know
Yeah.
where everything comes from over there. There's so many bloody countries in Europe. That's the problem.
Yeah. Yeah, Europe's becoming more like the States in terms of just like the EU's like more US like like all the countries. It's a bigger language barrier, but
Well,
in terms
except
of
if you're in Greece, who's
let's not go there.
about to go belly up and leave the EU, aren't they? Let's not go there.
Yeah.
Hi to all our Greek viewers.
Yeah.
Sorry for your woes.
Yeah. But I mean, I think that this is actually, this is what we've been talking about on the show before, in that, it's not easy. And this is going to be the model where, like, I continue to predict that Intel will spin off their fab model as they're going to go to the fabless plus foundry model, but they'll own the foundry at first. But that's my prediction.
Right.
I just think it's an inevitability just because of economies of scale at the super low geometry, super high cost to like it's like 10. I think Samsung just put in a $10 billion fab. We talked about that a couple weeks ago. They're just it's nuts the cost to do this. So we saw IBM do their spinoff. They just just paid Global Foundries a bunch of money to take their fabs off their hands. So it's significant. So what that comes out of with all this stuff, with all this consolidation, is eventually it's like, do you buy the chip? Like,
Right.
I don't want to buy chip A. I want to buy chip B. Oh, well, I bought chip B last month, so I guess I'll buy chip A. So it's I don't know where it goes. There's not a lot of room for startups. So I'll tell you that much.
Speaking of startups,
Yeah.
yet another startup failure. Wattage.
Oh yeah.
Which I don't think I've heard of. Anyway, somebody linked it in to. Was it you who linked it
It was
into?
me. Yep.
Yep. Do you know
Yes.
the story behind this? Anyway, they've got a
Oh, no,
comprehensive
Luke
page.
did,
They're a
sorry.
startup.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, well, anyway, a company called Wattage.
Yep.
Is it? Yeah, Wattage Inc. They've some startup. I don't know what they're doing. But they.
If you scroll down
they've
this
run out-
page on Medium, you'll see it.
Yeah, it's really, they've actually been honest and said, yep, we have run out of cash after a year of development and we're shutting down. And here's all the data and here's why. And I'm going, after this show, I'm going to go through and read it. And they've got lots of nice infographics and stuff of why they failed, I guess.
Yeah, well, and so this one was interesting. So I had posted something to Wattage in the past. It was basically about, it was kind of like a platform for building custom gadgets, and basically they're like, oh, well, we have these modular blocks and we can make gadgets. But the problem there is that really there's only so many things you can.
So what are they? A hardware
They're basically
company, or
like,
are they just a website that enables something?
No. So they were like a website plus hardware on the back end that basically allowed you to. So if you went to Wattage, I don't know if it's still active, wattage.io, but basically you could go there and design a thing. You could design it goes back to this article. You could design like a thing, right? So in this case, they're showing a speaker with a little screen and a knob, and
see that,
basically
yep.
then you could go
Right,
program
one of those
it.
desktop radio things, yep.
Yeah, it's the whole idea of like, it's not the hardware, it's the you just want to get to the software point and saying that
Right.
there doesn't need to be any differentiation. But there was some customization available, but it wasn't enough. And I think that's what it was.
Mm-hmm.
But I just and they talk about this stuff. They it's just not as big a market as they thought, and
Right.
you'd have to. I don't know, like if you had 4 different companies designing slightly different things and they're all going through your service, it's like, okay, well, they're going to pay you for that, but and you've removed some of the design woes there of making completely custom things each time. But at the same time, that the customness of hardware is also what in theory locks other people out, because then
Right.
your product actually is differentiated. So
So how much money did the investors lose in the end? How much was this? They raised $250,000 from family and friends, and they tried to get a $2 million
million, yeah.
seed around.
yeah,
Did they end up getting that? I don't know.
think no, usually not.
Right.
Yeah,
Anyway,
and
they
so-
failed.
Yeah, well, they're not the only
Yep.
ones. I mean, and
Oh,
the thing that
like in a couple of years, right? Because it's so hot now, right? These investors who invest in all, the startup culture has just exploded, right? And it's so easy to get money. God, they'll give it to you set up a company that's 2 flies up a wall, and they'll give you a couple of $1 million, right? And
maybe.
if you can pitch it well enough, right? I mean, how many programs are there to go in and learn how to pitch and all that? Like, there's even in Australia, there's a couple of them, right? It's just crazy now,
Yeah.
right? Let alone
I
in
have
the
been
US.
listening to the Startup Podcast, which I
Yeah,
recommend.
and
and
it's just
there's also that
ridiculous.
Silicon Valley
it's the
show.
thing to do. If you don't have a startup and if you're not pitching to VCs, you're uncool. That's just like the thing to do. Like everyone who leaves everyone who finishes their uni course now is instead of going out and getting a job, hey, let's go out and pitch some stupid idea to a VC and see if we can milk some money. Anyway, there's so many of them now, and when you get the money, hey, you can operate for a couple of years. You know, you're wasting somebody else's couple of $1,000,000, and it's fine and dandy. So because it's just exploded in the last couple of years, it'll be another year or two, and we'll see a train wreck of all these failed companies in another year or two because they run out of money exactly like this, you know. And there'll just be so many of them. We could have, you know, failure of the week on the Amp Hour, and we could have 52 a year, I'm sure.
Oh yeah,
without fail.
Well, but so here's the point I was trying to make. So there was also Ninja Blocks, right? So we had Marcus on the show. He was part of Ninja Blocks. He's no longer part of that.
But he got out. He sold his share in Ninja Blocks, and they've failed.
They did. They did another Kickstarter around this thing called the Sphere, and then basically they're having trouble shipping it as well.
Right. I haven't looked at the details. Why are they having trouble shipping? Did it not work as expected, or it cost more than expected, and they've run out of money?
Yeah, just a cost thing.
Here we go. Here's the takeaway. Ninja Blocks is out of money. We can no longer keep developing Sphere. We're going dark, so we can continue to keep the cloud services running. Yeah. So here's another thing, right? If you signed into this Ninja Blocks cloud service Internet of Things thing, here's another one that's going down the toilet, right? And you're left high and dry with your cloud service, right? Well, too bad, right?
Yeah, but that's more about the hardware, I think. I mean, they're actually preventing against going dark on the cloud stuff. So that's what they're saying there. They're saying we're keeping enough money to keep running.
Yeah, but how long is it? Come on, how long is it going to continue to run this cloud service? If they're out of money to produce these, I mean, come on, it's just
I think that is an interesting idea. Maybe there will be a secondary market for software like subscription services, that kind of thing.
And everything's been open, everything's been open source, but that's not going to save it, right? And
sure.
So
so here's the thing: like companies fail every single day, right?
Yeah,
that's the thing. Like, but now because people are putting money in for pre-sales, or they're backing them on Kickstarter, crowdfunding,
taking the public's money instead of VC. No one cares if VCs lose their money, right? That's
most VCs don't even care that much.
No, right? It's on average, right? They just want that one winner, right? They want that one big winner that gets bought by Google, right?
Yeah, right. But now it's so much more visible because it's like, hey, we. You know, and I think that, you know, both of these companies here, like they're doing, like some people could have just closed up shop and said, you know,
of course, no, they're
never talk again, right?
No, they have done it the right way. They've admitted their failure. They've said, like, here are some lessons you can learn from it. You know, great. You know,
and so I think ultimately that this is what the actual the risks are of backing crowdfunded projects. But that doesn't help you if you've put in $300 and you expect to get a widget back. You know, like so. I think that
that's the thing too, is like you get so many people investing relatively so little, right? If everyone was putting in 10 grand, right? You know, like you would.
You'd have a class action lawsuit on hand.
You'd be class action lawsuit. People with pitchforks, right, out, you know, ready to stab you to death, right?
Right.
But because people put in, you know, $50, $100, $200, right? It's like they go, you know, whatever. There's been a few attempts at you know, the class action lawsuits and things like that, but I've never heard of one going ahead or being successful yet.
Yeah.
So maybe there has been. If anyone has one, link it in. But and you know, so you can fail and you know, and really, everyone just walks away and shrugs their shoulders and goes, all right.
Yeah, right.
You know, there are no repercussions for failing. That's that's the thing, you know.
Well, I think it's an interesting piece. So that someone else, I forget, I just saw it a little while ago, but someone brought it up as well, actually, on the compiler side, right? So I guess it's a question of, you know, if you're buying a project, if you're buying a product like this, right, or if you're buying you know, if you're working with internet connected stuff, or even if you were just working with hardware, how much do you hedge your bet on the downside, right? Do you make a buying decision based on backup options, right? So in this case of Ninja Blocks, do you make a buying decision if you were deciding between like a Smart Things and a Ninja Blocks? Do you not decide based just on likelihood of success, but longevity? A longevity calculation in terms of likelihood of success. So not only will I be able to get my Ninja Block Sphere, but will it be will the backend service be viable for the entire time?
Yep.
Or will there be will there be an open source alternative that is actually supported by the community, right? Like these are like interesting new things. And the thing that I saw was that someone was mentioning about micros. They're saying, well, do you want to go with an IDE or should you go with more like a GCC toolchain because you know that it's always going to be there kind of thing, even if there's more pain up front in learning it. And
you want to know what the interesting thing here is that it doesn't matter about the scale of the company, right?
Can you explain
Google,
that more? Okay.
Yeah. Google, for example, right? They've got all these Google services, right? You can Google Mail, Google Maps, Google everything, right? And they've had, they've got dozens and dozens of them, right? They've shut down quite a few of them. And right? People bought into this, right?
I'm
People, I can't
getting sick
remember
of
the
Google
exact
doing
names.
that. Yeah.
Right?
Google Reader.
It's like
how about that?
Google Read everything, right? Yeah, Google Reader,
Glass,
everything, right? Yeah,
Google
people
Wave.
invested, right? People invested in this by choosing it as a standard. Oh, it's Google, it'll always be there. Wah. Sorry. You know?
Right. And a lot of the times it's just they're just natural life cycle things. The teams fall apart, or the money runs out, or the shift in priorities. Like all of these things are totally natural. But you're right. People buy in and they base their workflows around it. It's like it's disruptive when it's.
Yep.
Yeah. I don't know.
So there's no real solution to it. You just have to, you have to gamble.
Yeah, man. I'm actually that micro. I'm actually making that decision now. I'm still in the throes of deciding on microcontroller platforms.
Right.
And it is that decision between, do I go with an IDE with a lot of examples, or do I take the shot of pain up front and set up tool chain, like GCC tool chains, and set up the debugging and that kind of thing. And
right.
Yeah, I don't know how to
It's pretty safe, right? If you go with PIC, if you go with AVR, if you go with ARM, or any flavor of ARM, you can, even if they cancel the chip which you're using, it's not a huge pain to go to another one, right?
Maybe. I don't know. Freescale kind of dumped the whole Coldfire platform. I don't know if you knew about that. That was a while ago, obviously.
Oh, right.
But,
well,
yeah. I guess that's more of a big shift in priorities. So.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there's examples out there, microchips not going to, just completely kill the entire PIC platform.
What if they get bought?
Okay, well,
yeah, right?
It's too big a business for them. Things like Coldfire, right? That was small fry, right, compared to, for example, PIC. Right?
Okay,
they're used in everything,
right?
Yeah, they're going to keep it going, right? They're going to keep it going. You have to be practical about it.
How about
Yeah, it's possible, but
NXP buying Freescale, right? I'm sure I brought this up already on the show once, but that's still a concern. How do I?
Yeah. No, of course.
Maybe that won't stick around when there's actually competing products there. So I'm just saying that how much it's all a calculation of risk, right? It's now just outside of the hardware itself, because it's not just a board redesign. It's also a code, code and workflow and all that other stuff.
Tool chain, the whole works.
Yeah.
I know. Sucker, why are we in this industry? It's just too hard. Why don't we just go out and do something else?
I am here to bring balance to the forest, Dave.
Right, by saying everyone should move to marketing.
It's not marketing. Screw you. It's tools and services.
Tools and services. There we go, folks. That's what you need to get into. Tools and services is the future.
Picks and shovels.
You heard it here on the...
Picks and shovels.
Chris Gamble can't be wrong. It's good enough for him. It's good enough for you.
It is. I am frequently wrong.
You think?
So one thing another thing I'm doing with micros actually is it's getting so cheap. So I'm doing all these different boards and stuff like that. I've been designing. I've probably got I think 3 boards done. I'm working on the 4th now, but
cool.
Something I'm considering, and I'm not sure if it's going to actually happen, but maybe you've done this in your projects before. Putting a micro on every board. Have you ever done that kind of thing, like distributed control?
Yes, I have done that. Yeah, every plug-in module has its own processor, you mean?
Yeah.
Yep, I've done that before.
You have, okay. And I mean, was that
it just
cost or?
delineate. No, it wasn't a cost thing. It's a development and separation of tasks. So I'll have one processor, for example, running a little measurement module.
Yeah.
Right, so
Yep.
so I can test and develop that on its own, and I can show progress. Right, as when I work for the man, right, you got to
Right,
show
right,
progress.
right.
And if you've got just one processor and then it does everything, you sort of it's hard to show. It's harder to show progress. Whereas if you modularize it and have its own little process, look, you can demonstrate the whole module working, and I talk to that module via serial interface, and look, here it is. I'm sending serial commands. It gives back the right thing, and boom, tick.
Oh, true. Yeah,
You know?
test. Yeah, I guess designed for test as well, right? I mean, that's another thing that's good.
Yeah, it's all. Yep.
Actually,
Yeah,
I was
I've done
thinking
that.
about when Nadi was on the show. That's part of what I was thinking about. She did a lot of that with like the if you remember the robot she was working on, where they had like all the modular CNC stuff that they were doing. So I was thinking about that, and I'm sure that this is a common thing. But also the other thing is like total solution cost these days. It's like an extra $1 to add it to a board. It's like $1.
Oh yeah, I know. No,
and then
it's
the board
it's
space.
bugger all. There's more cost in getting the thing programmed or something than there is buying it. Like
Yeah.
it's
Right.
Maybe not, but yeah, know what I'm talking about, right? It's
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, that's another overhead type of thing, right? And I guess there's communication overhead as well. But like if you're doing low power, low speed bus type stuff, it's nothing fancy. So
Don't be afraid to have 10 processors in your next widget. Really,
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah, exactly.
There can be pros and cons. You've got to weigh it up, but there's no,
the
there
biggest
can be very good reasons for doing it.
yeah, the biggest con I've come up with is delivery of like firmware updates. So like if you,
Of course. Oh
Yeah.
yeah, that's
So like you could plug into each individual board, but ultimately what you'd want to do is you'd
Yeah,
want to
no.
pass firmware packages over your whatever bus you're on, and that
Yep.
can be annoying and bad. But it's challenging, good challenging stuff like that. So yeah. So I'd be interested in hearing about other people who've done. I mean, like obviously this is not like, oh, Chris, you came up with something interesting or new, but I'm interested in hearing about other people who've done this in their projects, because even just having these micros all have these peripherals now too. Like I really hadn't looked at like kind of the span of what was out there in terms of like all the ARM stuff and like the peripheral sets that are on there, but. Everything's got an ADC now. Everything's got a DAC. Everything's got PWM.
Yep.
Everything's got digital output. It's just like, okay, that's kind of cool. Like, none of it's particularly awesome. But, yeah.
they're complete system solutions. That's the big thing about micros. In the last 15 years,
Yeah, I was gonna say, welcome to
they
2000,
went
Chris.
from having nothing. They went from having nothing in the 90s, right? To now, it can do everything.
Yeah. Right. And they're low power.
Buddy a toast.
Yep. So yeah,
Brilliant.
that's what I've been doing. That and bringing balance to the force through
And on that note,
tool making.
ends another.
Oh,
amp
we're
hour.
done. Oh,
We're done.
is there anything else?
We're 8 minutes over. Nope.
I like
Nope.
What about the?
No.
Okay, well, people can go and check out the subreddit. There's a lot of good stuff on there, like Dave Vandenbout's post and about the chip, that $9 computer.
Here's another thing which we
Yeah.
never. You can, if you're on Twitter, you can follow the Amp
Ah.
Hour, and we get all of our subreddit things automatically posted
Yes.
to our Amp Hour feed. So it's a way to get news and info. It's like, it's a nice little portal, and we don't do anything else on there apart from announce each episode.
I
but yeah,
retweet
you
people
get-
who talk about the amp hour.
Oh, right. Well, okay. But
And
yeah,
I
basically,
respond from
it's
there
a good
sometimes.
it's a good news repository. It pops up with all the latest things that people have posted to the Reddit feed. So if a company's been bought, someone will post it in there, and boom,
Yep.
it auto feeds to the Amp Hour Twitter.
Yeah, that's a very very good reminder, and that
Thank you
actually
very much.
runs off of IFTTT. If this, then that. You ever use that?
Yep,
Yeah, it's awesome.
it's nice.
And I think that's
how
going
long
to
will
be
that service keep going before they run out of money?
interesting question. Yeah. I think that
I
especially
guess we'll
because
find out
there's
if the Amp Hour
hardware
feed
tie-ins.
stops.
Yeah.
Then
yeah.
Oh dear, oh dear. Yep.
All right, cool,
All
man.
right.
Well,
Next week.
I will be at Maker Faire over the weekend. If anyone's out there, there's a bunch of events going on. Shoot me a tweet or an email. And
This is the Maker Faire in
San
Where?
Francisco, San Mateo.
Sanford.
Yeah.
This
Yeah,
is the big one.
Bay Area. Yep,
Right.
this is the big
Yep.
one. So bring a hack dinner and a bunch of other events. So I'll
Awesome.
be out there with a brand new T-shirt too. But Dave's not going to mention what it is.
I've seen it.
Yeah.
I think it's a bit.
A little off. He thinks it's a little off, so maybe everybody else will like it.
It's a little wrong. It's
We'll
a
see.
little wrong,
We'll
I
see.
think.
Yeah, okay.
Anyway. All right.
All right, cool, man. Talk to you next week.
Catch you next time.